Okay, so you can't rewind up to what we've done so far, but if you do want to be watching the stream is a few seconds behind us, but it it should be working at this point. And I just switched it so that you can see what's going on. In the stream, I'm just gonna highlight the things that we've changed. We added this if generic mouse down line in function drag mouse down. We added this line here on line 283, and we added this line here on 300. And this one, we're not giving the ability to stop it because I don't see a reason that we would need to, because really what that does is it cleans stuff up. And so now what we're going to do, though, is we're going to come down and we're going to write these functions. So function generic mouse down. That takes an argument, call it EVT, and then we're going to say return true. And we're going to do the same thing for the other ones. Mouse up. That's not going to have a return, and mouse move. And these will be our hooks so that different games can perform special actions. I'm going to test it, make sure that we didn't break anything when we just added that. And it looks like nothing's broken there. Oh, nope, something's broken. I can't release this anymore. Okay, so what did I break? EVT is not defined. Okay. On line 300. There is no EVT here. The other functions, they pass in an argument called EVT. Mouse up does not, so get rid of the EVT there because that's breaking it. Now hit refresh. And yeah, now it seems to be working. And what's cool about this, just so you can see what we're doing here, we should be able to, and I've not done this before, so for mouse move, I can actually copy all of these and put these in my Klondike file. So what we want is the only stuff that we want in our card.js is the stuff that's important to all card games. This Klondike.js here, this is important to just Klondike. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say for mouse move, we're going to return false. That means that we shouldn't be able to drag anything.
Wait, does mouse up have an EVT or no?
I think it did. Oh, no, it didn't.
You have that on the other one.
Yeah. The mouse up shouldn't have a EVT.
Wait, Mr. Wise, I have a question.
Yeah.
Wait, what is EVT supposed to mean?
So just so everyone sees now, look what's happening. I'm unable to drag these. I'm able to click on them, but I'm unable to drag them. And we could even stop the click by stopping the mouse down. If we return false there, then there won't even be a click. So we are able to control that in our Klondike by messing with this. So EVT, it stands for event. And so basically, whenever you're doing stuff with keyboards or mice or anything like this, and this is a great question because I'm sure a lot of people in this room have no idea what it stands for. So whenever you have it's called event driven, anytime the person clicks or does something, that is creating an action. So when I move the mouse, when I click here, there is a mouse click event that happens. And so EVT gives me the information about that click. And we've explored like what information does it give you, and it gives you quite a bit. But some of the stuff that we care about is where are we clicking, where are we moving the card to, yeah, so that's what that is. And EVT does it has quite a bit in it, and sometimes we're like, oh, I need to look what else is going on in here. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It answered it.
Okay. So now we saw that we were able to prevent it from being dragged. What I'd like to do is say, like, how about if we say false in both cases? Then will it not have anything? And actually, I think for mouse down might be the only place. But let's see if that. Now I can't even like flip it over, and that's good because if we wanted to make it so that you can only work with legal cards, we have the ability to stop anything from happening in our Klondike code rather than in our card.js code. And that's pretty powerful because now we can finalize stuff that's specific to card.js. And if we want to write a different solitaire game, we can have different rules. And we just need a different file. We don't need to mess with card.js. So I'm going to put these back to true. I like the movement.
Mr. Wiseman, I have another question.
Yeah, please.
So, like, since we're making a card game, why do we need like 2 JavaScript files and not just one?
So we're doing two things. We're making a generic card engine. So you know, like the Unreal Engine. You know what Unreal is?
Yeah.
So Unreal, or you could do Unity. It doesn't really matter which one. But this is when I Google it, the most powerful real-time 3D creation platform. This is a company a company created this engine so that other people can download it and then make their own, typically first-person shooters. And they don't have to code it from scratch. They're going to code it from like, oh, there's already physics happening. There's already stuff happening. And they don't have to recreate everything, which would take years in itself. And so that's called an engine. So we are making a card engine so that we can make a bunch of different card games based off of our single engine. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. So, and only recently did we even get to the point where we have Klondike. But if we don't use this Klondike, watch what happens. Have you played Klondike before, the solitaire game?
I've never played solitaire at all.
Okay, so one of the homework assignments, and your homework assignment is which you could do right now, is to Google Klondike Solitaire, sorry. And then play the easy mode. But learn how to play solitaire, because we're writing this game right now. Okay?
Oh.
But our code is cooler than that in the fact that if we come to our index.html, right now we're saying, okay, load the card engine and then load Klondike. If we don't load Klondike, I'm breaking this chain here by trying to load Klond space Ike, which doesn't exist, so it's like it won't open. So now when we hit refresh, this is our card game. And you can drag cards around, but it doesn't do it like it does. It's not a game. It's just a pile of stuff.
It's just a bunch of like assets and stuff. It's like it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, it allows us to drag things and stuff like that, but it doesn't. There's no game here. And then when we if we add the Klondike stuff, which there's not actually a ton of code here, it's only 64 lines of code. We can actually play this Klondike game, which is a form of solitaire. Once we get this to our satisfaction, which we might get done today, then we're going to try to write another game. And so we'll delete the Klondike game and we'll put something else out there. And we want to we're going to try to write a couple of games that are already established before making our own to make sure that our engine can handle a lot of unique things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And I would highly recommend if you plan on coming back, which Alan, I hope. Why have you not been able to make it? Have you been busy or lazy?
No, I was just lazy.
Okay. Well, if you decide to come back, you should go in and like play with the code. You can ask me in class, like, wait, what does that do? And I might be like, I don't know, because if I'm away from the code, I might not be sure. But yeah, you definitely, start playing with it and looking at it.
Wait, do you still have these functions in JS? I missed that part.
In the card,
Do you have these?
yes, they're down here.
Oh, okay, thank you.
But then because of I'm not going to call this inheritance because it's not, but because Klondike comes after card, all the functions that they share, Klondike will override card. If I did it the other way, then card would override Klondike. So this just has to have the same function names.
So is there any purpose to having it in the card.js?
Yeah, because say we didn't have Klondike. Say Klondike doesn't exist. Okay, right now I'm looking for Klondike. Because we are calling these functions in this, it will break because it'll be like, I don't know what that function is. So we have them here mostly as placeholders. So if you don't have any other things hooked into this, you're not breaking your own code.
Okay.
Because we do call generic mouse down right here. We call it there. So it's got, that function has to exist at all times.
Okay.
And so it exists here, and then we'll make it do more in Klondike. So now what we want to do here is we want to, and we may need to add more things to generic mouse down. Like we may need to pass in some card information. I'm not really sure. First was just to get it to have this generic build out. Because now what we're going to do for Klondike, we're going to say, hey, are there no cards in the deck? And is the card that you're clicking on, is it a junk card? And if it is, we're going to, sorry, I just got a text message. We're going to flip all the cards and put them back into the deck. And that we're going to do through these functions, hopefully. Oh, and I do want to have Klondike. So let me get rid of that space. So once this is full, if we do like a single click, we don't want to flip the card. We want to put all the cards on and back to the deck pile. So if we get a click and there's nothing in deck and we're in trash, we want all the trash cards to go back to the deck. So in our sorry, I just hid my. Right here, we are saying ELMT. Okay, so here, I think generic mouse down, we want to get the event and the ELMT, which is the card that we're clicking on. So we're adding another argument to generic mouse down. And it's not ELMT, it's ELMNT. And we're going to add that as an argument to all of our generics, because we need to know what card are we on and that stuff. And it's going to be a pain to find otherwise. And it's pretty easy to pass in. So mouse move, we're also going to pass in what card we're on. And mouse up, we're going to pass in the card that we're on. We have to come down here and we got to add these arguments. And this is on the YouTube stream at the moment. So, and the advantage of the YouTube stream, you can pause it. So if you're like, oh crap, I can't keep up. You don't have to keep up. You can watch the stream. You can hit pause. And then I will have natural spots where I pause and talk for a minute, and you'll catch up with your code at those points. So much groceries. I think Nassim just went grocery shopping. Or somebody in his house just went grocery shopping. And I'm pausing here so you guys can catch up. And I'm going to read this text message real quick. Okay, so now in generic mouse down, I want to find out, is the card we're in the, that we're clicking on a junk card, like in the junk pile. So I'm going to just do console log ELMNT just to see what we're looking at. So console log will print out what our card looks like when we're at the generic mouse down piece. And I'm going to hit refresh. And I'm going to click on this card. I'm going to hit F12, and it's going to tell me over here what's the card look like. So when I click on it, I get this card. And it should say, oh, I don't know if it's all going to show up here. I can't see it all here. Okay. I should still be able to access some other pieces of the card. That's just the HTML piece that we're seeing. I have to look at the... this is also something that should be documented a little bit better. I want to thank Weissman for putting everything in chat. I don't know what that means. Is he... are you mocking me or... Nassim? Oh, okay. I don't even know what I've been putting in the chat, but good. I'm glad that
I'm assuming the code so we can catch up.
Oh, but that would be in the classroom stream. I think that's what threw me off. Yeah, if there's no need for you to have to do something, or that if you're not going to get a benefit, then I definitely should share it. Very often there's benefit for you doing it, but okay. So let's see here. We have element style. We have how do we know what pile we're in? Element zone. So we want to get the zone, and it's possible. I don't think we'll have time today that we're going to actually have to go and actually genuinely document all of the stuff in the element. But we have a zone, and if the zone is trash, that's going to mean something. So we have ELMNT zone. And the fact that we have bad documentation for this makes it so we have to like look at it and test it before we do anything, and that's not good. So that's the deck zone. Now it's in the trash zone. So we only care if we're in the trash zone, and just so you can see where we're going, we're going to say if element zone is equal to trash, return false. Okay. And if you return false here, that means it's not going to do anything else in the mouse down function. I think that's going to prevent the card from being moved. Now, that's not necessarily what we want, but you can see that we have some control here. So right now I can move things around. But if I put this stuff in the trash, now I can't get it out of the trash because that's what we just made it do. And that's kind of cool. It's like, oh, our Klondike is actually controlling things. So all the cards, everything works over here. You can move things around. But the moment you put it in the trash pile, oh, it's stuck. It's stuck. And that's cool. We don't want to make it stuck, but what we do want to do is keep track of it. And if you If you start and end in the trash pile and there's nothing in the deck, we're going to then do our work. Now mouse up. Mouse move. I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to actually pass element and dragged. And I'd like to put this at the top of the function, because we might want to yeah, we're gonna do this here as well. Okay, I'm gonna say if generic mouse up is equal to true, not false, because we can't return things. One of the things that this does is it does these two things, and that's kind of important. So if it's true, so this one's also going to return true or false. If it's true, we want to flip the card. We want to do all of this stuff. And then no matter what, we want to do on mouse up and on mouse move. We do want to have that happening no matter what. So generic mouse move now gets a dragged variable, true, which will be true or false, and then it's going to have a return value. And if the return value is false, that means don't do anything except clean up our functions. But don't move anything. Don't do anything that's default. Don't drop cards into the zone. It's just gonna kind of hang there. Oops. So I'm gonna come down to here, and this is gonna be element and dragged for generic mouse up. And in Klondike, we're doing element and dragged. And in all reality, I don't want to stop anything, but in mouse up, that's where we're going to do some other stuff. So we're going to say if the element is zone is equal to trash and dragged is equal to false, meaning you didn't drag it, you just clicked on it, then we want to do stuff. The rest of this, actually, we want to always just be like this. So return true, return true. We don't really want anything happening in those functions. And if you're clicking on the trash pile and you're not dragging, you're not moving the cards around on the trash pile, then we would need to check, is the deck empty? And we're going to check, and if it is, then we're going to move all the cards into the deck from the trash pile. So we're going to say, if is deck empty, actually, yeah, if is the deck empty, we will then, and if that's equal to true, and you don't have to write equals true here, I'm going to, for readability, so if the deck empty is true, then put trash in deck. And we're going to call the function put trash in deck, and we're going to return false. Otherwise, we're going to return true. Just see something. This mouse up thing actually has to return true as well. So all of our generic things are always returning true down here. But here, if the deck is empty, we're going to put all the cards in the trash and then not do anything else after the mouse up. We're not going to flip the cards, nothing like that. Now, problem is we don't have a function called isDeckEmpty. So we have to write that function. Won't take that long. Then we don't have a function called put trash in deck. We're going to have to do that as well. That one's might be a little bit tougher. So we're going to write these functions, and these are Klondike only functions. So isDeckEmpty. And we're going to first say false. We're going to say false. But then what we have to do is we have to look at every element in our, like all the cards on the table, which we've done before, and we're going to have to do that here. And we're going to just search. And if any card has a zone called deck, we'll return false. Actually, so by default, this is going to return true. So by default, we're going to say the deck is empty. But let's look at every card on the table. If any of the cards are in the deck, then we say false instead. So now we're going to have to iterate through all of the cards on the table. And I'm seeing if... no, not here. I have to remember how to look at all the cards on the table. So I'm coming over to our other code. I think towards the top. So it's called card position. That's trying to find a place where we go through all the cards. Here. So I'm just going to steal this snippet of code. What this does, it goes through all the elements in the web page, which are all of our cards, and we're going to say if elements.zone is equal to deck, we'll return false. Oops, that's not what I want. That's the page I want. So is deck empty? So we're going to say, okay, for I goes from 0 to all of the elements. If the zone is equal to deck, that means we found a card that's in the deck. We return false. If we make it to the end, that means we never found a card that's in the deck. That means the deck would be empty. We'd return true. Oops. I had a little weather icon thing in my menu bar, so I clicked on it and it took over my web page. Air quality alert. So if you have asthma, like I do, you might not be breathing well tonight. Now I got to get back. Sorry for that. Darn. Okay, so now we want to put the trash into the deck. So we have to write that function. If you notice, none of these functions themselves. Now, I know that most of you, where you're at, you'd be like, yeah, to figure out even where to begin would take 1.5 years. And when you're first learning coding, yeah, that's definitely true. But you should see that none of these functions are super huge and super long. That's decent code. The moment the code gets too long, like setup game, there's actually something wrong with that. Like I should probably break that up because that's a long function. It's more than a page. That's bad code, actually. This is good code. It's short. You want to keep your function short. When you're developing stuff more and more on your own, you're going to find that you write pages and pages of code all in one function. Just recognize like that's bad, but that's where I'm at. I'll get better as I go. I remember I was talking to my old business partner recently, and he's like, "Do you remember when you wrote some game all in one function?" I'm like, "I don't remember doing that." I don't deny doing it though. And that was post college. So we all have our moments. I don't remember doing everything in one function because I don't even know how I could do that. But um, I kind of believe him. Um, but that was a much younger version of me. So keep your functions short. And if you're not, you got to plan out something a little different. You want to spend time planning. That will lead to better code. So put trash in deck. So I think all we have to do here, I think this is actually, oh my God, I think this is so easy. Watch this. We're going to go through everything. If it's in the junk pile, change it to deck.
Do we call it junk?
I think so. Let's check. Oh no, it's called trash. So what's this going to do? Now it's not going to be 100% because the order won't be preserved. It's going to move them straight back. So the top card should be the bottom card when we flip it back. But I want to see if this works first. But that was like no work at all. And then the animation that's continuously running should just move all the cards back. And that's actually pretty cool. It won't be that hard to reverse the order as well. But we're going to do that after we see if this is working or not. This also could horribly go wrong. Okay, so we're moving this. And if I click on this, nothing happens. Continue to move, continue to move, continue to move. We can click on this, click on this. Everything looks like normal because the deck is not empty, so nothing different happens. And I hope this works. And we're even going to get a little animation happening built in. So now the deck is empty. The moment of truth. And I'm sure it's not going to work because it's the moment of truth. And I'm a little nervous. But, oh, something happened. So all the cards except for the top one moved. Not bad. So and I think the top one probably said move, and then later, because we released it, it said, oh, you're in the trash pile, and it moved it. So I do think our code probably said, put it back in the deck. Oh, wait, but you're dropping it in the junk pile or the trash pile. So put it in the trash, and it's doing that second. So, but all the cards are back. So, or almost all but one are back. That worked way better than I expected. So let's try it again.
Can you put a mouth up in JavaScript for 1 second?
Yeah, mouse up. Yeah, let me just do this one more time because that was fun. Oh my God, so many cards. Okay, so now we're here, and if you click, everything except for the one that you're clicking on moved over, and we will be able to handle that. So there was a request. What do you want to see? Mouse. Which one?
Mouse up. Scroll down. Thank you.
Okay, so in mouse up, we're saying if generic mouse up is equal to true, then we are saying don't do any of this. So we're not releasing it into a zone. Okay, so let's look at Klondike. Oh, okay. Oh no, because it should be returning false. So if it returns false, the card. Oh, watch this. So put trash in deck. Element zone if it's equal to trash. Or because the card we're dragging is actually not in the trash pile, it's being dragged. So we have it designated as dragged, I think. trying to figure out what do we call it when, oh yeah, so the zone is called drag. So we want to move everything in the trash and in the drag zone into, so it's not dragged, it's just drag zone. And that should get that last card over as well. Time to test it again. So I'm starting to look at this thing called React or Framework 7, I think. I'm going to be looking at some things that allow you to take JavaScript and turn it into iOS applications and Android applications kind of at the same time. Ideally, like we'd be able to take this game and port it so it's an iPhone game and an Android game. Oh, it didn't work with the F word. Darn. Maybe I didn't hit refresh. Oh, and it takes forever. Oh, I was so sure that was going to work. Okay. Zone equals drag. So now I'm stuck. So in mouse up, we're saying if it's true, and I think we're returning false. So in generic mouse up, Klondike is saying generic mouse up, we're returning false when we put the trash into the deck. So it should be saying false. So it's not flipping the card. It's not dropping in the zone. In fact, this we might want to. Okay. So when we're releasing the mouse, we're going to do two things. We're going to print two things to the console. One is if we're in this piece here, and the other is if we're not. Hopefully when we get to the last one, only this one prints, but I'm a little bit at a loss, so I need to just kind of work my way through quick. Okay, so... too many cards in it. Okay, so here, A and, let's see if it does A and B. No, so it just did B and it just said deck. So that to me looks like it's trying to put this in the deck. Oh, and it does, but something's making it, so it actually is being assigned to the deck, but it's not moving it to the deck. Because if you watch this, and if you do it on your own, Oh, kill me. So when we release, it is saying deck here. So that means it's in the zone deck. And then when we take this and we just drag it to here, it's not going to bring it back to the trash. It puts it back at the deck. Now, if it was actually in the trash, when you bring it here, it would put it back in the trash. So it does think it's in the deck, but for some reason, it's not moving it. And I think that might be actually some of the other things that we're not doing here. Sorry, in mouse up. Some of the cleaning up stuff that we're not doing might be necessary. So we can get rid of this. Get rid of this. Release drag pile. If not dragged, flip card. We don't want to do that. Element do not move equals false. I'm going to grab these. No. Okay, I'm going to put these at the top. Because those shouldn't matter. So some of this stuff I think we do want to do. If not dragged, flip card. We don't care about that. Element do not move. I think what we want to do is we do want to do this. Drop into zone and release drag pile. I don't know what those functions do anymore, so I need to look at what those do. So release drag pile. Okay, so anything that's being dragged, that shouldn't be needed. And drop into zone should be saying what zone to drop it into, and that shouldn't be needed. So this might fix it. So what's happening is if we get a false, we do want to do a little bit of cleaning up, but not all of the cleaning up. And that might fix it. I can only say might because got to test it. So I did get an email. Control Shift does look like it might be happening in some form this year. For those of you that are ninth graders, Control Shift is a web development competition. Palumbo has one basically every year it's participated. Oh, it moved. I'll move back. Palumbo has dominated this competition proudly. And normally it takes first, second, and third. I think last year it didn't take first, second, and third. I think it took like first and third or something. It might have taken first, second, and third, though. I mean, not last year, the year before. And it's for a lot of money. And we've had students just win at these. And Alan, I think you were asking about Control Shift just today. I did get an email. They are going to be doing some sort of variant on Control Shift. So, so that's good news. So this is working almost perfectly. Now we can do a couple other things. Like we could say you're never allowed to drop something into the deck. And these are just these types of rules I'm going to show you. Now, it's not putting the cards back in the right order. We're going to wait on that because it's 419. But do we want to make it so we can't drop things back into the deck because you shouldn't be allowed to? That's actually very easy to do. Alan did something wrong. Leiden's moment of truth failed. And so in Coding Club, you guys know I typically don't go through and comb through your code for errors. I'll give you my code again, or you fix your own errors. But me struggling through your errors to find them, I can just give you the code instead. If you find your own errors, that's what you really want. What, Edgardo?
I think I missed something entirely. I'm not getting an error when I did have 12, but it's not working.
make sure your Klondike stuff. That this is where most of the code is.
I might have missed something in the JavaScript, the other one.
Okay. So you're pretty sure that this is all pretty good. Good.
I can check.
Okay. Here, what I'm going to do here in generic mouse up. Oh, we have to find out our. Yeah, the little test I want to do is going to take too long, and it sounds like you guys are not in the same spot that I am. So I think this might be a good spot to pause. We can play the game. Queen of Diamonds can go on the King of Clubs. Flip this over. Two of Clubs. So the game is getting more and more playable. I can give you this code, but I'm going to set up a poll right now. Oh, no, I'm not going to set up a poll. I forgot. We're going to document this next week. That's going to be our main focus. It's a very unsexy sounding week because it will be. But we need to keep track of our variables before we do anything else. We're going to start losing track. So next week, the bulk of the stuff will be documentation. Then we might do a few small things towards getting Klondike to be a better version of Klondike. And if that, that will be our week next week. Then we will do our poll next week. And our poll next week will say, do we want to keep working on Klondike a little longer, make it slightly better, or do we want to make another game like Free Cell or another solitaire game? Free Cell is a big one. Or do we want to make a poker type game where it sets up poker hands? Now, there's not going to be any betting because we don't have anything to bet with. But as we go, we can think, okay, let's make another deck. Because right now we have decks, and I don't want to deal with chips. Okay, let's have another deck, and that deck, instead of cards, will be a deck of money. And each person starts with a deck of money. And then we can actually put the money into a different pile, and we could actually turn that into a poker game. So you guys are going to lead to, like, do we keep doing Klondike, or do we move into like a poker type game, or a different solitaire game? And then after that, we will see, do we want to start designing our own unique games? So that's where that's at. Yeah, and I think I'm going to stop the stream at this point because I don't think there's a need to keep the stream going.